This is the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast, session number 364, Hybrid Programs for Client Success.
Welcome to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast with Jason Linett, your professional resource for hypnosis training and outstanding business success. Here's your host, Jason Linett.
Before we dive into the content of this week's episode, I need to take a moment and kind of address the gorilla in the room, as it were, which would be that even in the midst of the last 2 years, with the majority of us, whether it's moving our services online or expanding to services online, there still is a bigger picture dialogue in the hypnotic profession that needs to be addressed. And it's not even just about online hypnosis. It's going to apply to individual methods. It's going to apply to group works. It's going to apply to products. And it's this, can I use the word virus now? It's the virus that people would look at something and go, yeah, but that doesn't work. I'll give you an example of this. We run our public Work Smart Hypnosis Facebook community. And someone posted a question there a little while ago that was something along the lines of, are people still buying hypnotic audio programs? And my response is how I often respond to things of that nature, and kind of the core of this week's episode. The response being is that if you change your question, you get a better answer. So rather than saying or asking, are people still buying audio programs? Something else opens up when you ask the question, how can I promote my programs in such a way that people see the value in joining audio programs? See what's different there? This kind of relates to online sessions. A couple of years ago, the dialogue was, yeah, but you can't do this online. Yeah, but you can't do that online. Well, ask a better question. You get a better answer. How can the online session become just as good, if not better? Same applies to groups. Some people like to go to the absolute right away that groups are not as good. Some people like to go to the absolute that, yeah, but online programs and products are not as good as being in the room. Well, hang on. Ask a better question, you get a better answer. How could I deliver the group experience in a way that benefits people even further? How can I adjust my process of how I work with my clients so that they have additional ongoing support without me having to be there? And that builds independence within them rather than dependence upon me. How can I take what usually has been this big marathon 10, 11, 12-day event and deliver it in less time, yet also now trains my students to become even more successful on their own? Again, independence within their learning styles rather than dependence upon me. Because respectfully speaking, once you're in the room for 12 days, long hours, so much of that goes in one ear, out the other, and I hope you took good notes. There's got to be a better way. That's what this episode is all about. So we're about to break down a couple of different formulas of what I refer to as a hybrid model of change, hybrid programs for client success. So stick with me here in this week's episode because this does have the potential. Oh, let me hype this. These are the exact formulas that I've used to triple the size of my business over the last couple of years. These are the exact formulas that I've been using and my students have been using as well to serve their clients even better. And can we get rid of the phrase in business of perceived value? No one wants perceived value. People want actual value. And the formulas I'm about to share with you and demonstrate are ones of creating even more value, and perhaps you're already feeling on the other side of the equation. As you provide more value, it's even easier to receive value back in return. And hey, as we're talking about hybrid programs, check out WorkSmartHypnosisLive.com. This is how we re-engineered the way that hypnosis is trained. That one part of it is a guided tour through our Hypnotic Workers Library, which is a more hypnotic phenomenon approach to change. Look, your client's issue is kinesthetic, even if they're more visually or auditorily oriented, because they feel something, that's why they're reaching out to you. So doesn't it make sense to make use of a hypnotic change process where they can actually feel the change occurring? This is how we get instant gratification. This is how we sort of destroy the old virus of, well, I felt relaxed, I guess something happened, though it's not just about utilizing hypnotic phenomenon for a cool hypno stunt, though we will at times utilize hypnotic phenomenon as a cool hypno stunt to get the foot in the door. It's really about, again, ratifying the change in real time. So we're killing the old game of fingers crossed, hope it works. No, the clients are leaving knowing that something happened. Now, on top of that, the next Work Smart Hypnosis Live, I brought back on board again Richard Nongard. I got to call this out. What Richard does shouldn't be revolutionary, but it is. Evidence-based hypnosis. Let's not just do hypnosis that's been designed to impress other hypnotists. Let's do the work that actually has been studied in clinical trials and proven to be effective. And quite honestly, this is the dialogue I get into with my clients, and then the process then sells itself. These are the conversations I can now have with doctors to have referral sources, even now around the world, as my practice is entirely online. You can do it in person nowadays if you want, yet I'm doing it now in what we call the business mullet. Now I have to explain that. Professional shirt, pajama pants. Business mullet. Business up top, party down below. So check out WorkSmartHypnosisLive.com. It's the perfect illustration of a hybrid model, how we apply that over to a training event where, rather than the game of hope your notes were good, you're able to go back and revisit the content time and time again. And then on top of that, we meet together in a real-time online format to sharpen your skills, elevate your knowledge, and give you one of the most hands-on events possible, even in an online format. Check that out, WorkSmartHypnosisLive.com. And with that, let's dive into this week's episode, session number 364, Hybrid Programs for Client Success. All right, so if you've been around me before, you know one of the favorite catchphrases is that show is better than tell. So let me give you some of the exact language that I say to my clients. I'll even share with you some of the language I use with my students. And this way you can hear how it's delivered, and this will also fill in the gaps in terms of how it then is presented. So let's say I'm about to work with a client for public speaking, which most of my clients now are business owners with a fear of putting themselves out there. And they often fall into another side category, which is another business of mine of hypnotic influence for premium sales, how to have your ideal clients wanting more from you even before you make a sales offer. That's the world of the influence brand, which I will say many hypnotists have joined me over there, yet also it's been built for another audience of financial advisors, online marketers, fitness coaches, nutritionists, lawyers, contractors, and it's bringing in a whole other world of people. So in addition to the work we do together live, you're going to see that I'm also going to give you access to a private membership library where many of the techniques that I used to teach in person are now archived in that library, which means you can make use of those techniques on your own. I have to say that once you do something a couple of thousand times, you start to kind of figure it out. And there's some very successful strategies that I've shared over the years with my clients that politely, as I got better at doing it, I realized I was doing it the same way every single time because we kind of cracked the code of how to deliver it. So because we're going to be meeting together in real time in these Zoom sessions, this allows us to focus our efforts even better on the real emotional triggers that have been causing this issue. And that way, anything you do to sort of elevate the results that we're seeing in our sessions, based upon these techniques, you can do that on your own time. Sound good? Which means here I am working with my client, and perhaps it's between sessions 2 and 3. And I can just now say to them, okay, so you've got access to that library, and I'd encourage you, go into the training and make use of this detox emotional triggers technique. And as you're talking about public speaking, here's my spin on Circle of Excellence and how we can actually turn that into more of a 3D representation in our mind and plant the circle where we need it. You'll see what I mean when you watch those videos. So between now and next week when we meet again, I'd encourage you, make use of those 2 techniques once a day. It'll take you no more than 10 minutes. And then, we'll talk about it the next time we meet. So do you see what I did there? There's certain things that, forgive the term, we would refer to in business or in terms of documentation as being boilerplate, where here's the stuff that's always there. Contracts, in terms of business may often be customized, yet there's certain parts that are always the same information. So what I've begun to do is ask myself the question, how can I do this once? And here's some examples, by the way. I have not done a pre-talk in real time with a client in at least 3 or 4 years. I have not taught certain key techniques like more peak performance anchoring or circle of excellence or what I call organic anchoring, which those of you who have been through my trainings know what that is in terms of rather than some extraneous thing, squeeze your finger and thumb together, instead using their own natural mechanisms as the anchor to become the mechanism for success. Sometimes it's not about teaching your client hypnotic change methods, it's about letting your client become hypnotic. And these are some of the key things that over the years I've employed inside of my session work. And again, I haven't had to teach them in real time because now my clients are getting access to a library of resources where they can do that on their own. Now, this is where, whenever I've shared this dialogue, I've often heard, yeah, but my clients don't want that. My clients want more of the hands-on. And I tell you, it's not that your clients are expressing that. It's that you're holding on to that belief system that they need that. Can I call something out here? Have you ever promised to send somebody something and you forgot? Have you ever promised someone you would follow up on something and you forgot? And the real result is, again, when you ask a better question, you get a better answer. How can I provide a better experience for my clients in a way that's designed for their own independence, not just for my greedy value of, I've taught this technique enough, I don't want to do it anymore. And I will say, I am seeing some of the best results I've ever seen in my client business. I'm seeing some of the best results I've ever seen in my student business, people joining programs like Work Smart Hypnosis Live or even Hypnotic Business Systems, because we're employing this philosophy everywhere now. There's certain things that we do that, no, it doesn't have to happen in real time. And even better, I can train it in a way that now they have the benefit of coming back to it time and time again. So how can we streamline your process? And this is exactly what we mean by a hybrid approach. Simply taking 2 or more mechanisms and combining it together into the format of how we work with people. So it's where how do you get started with this? You're going to laugh at this. What I would say is, like, right now, it's about 9 in the morning as I'm recording this, and let's imagine here comes my 10 a.m. appointment. And suddenly, let's pull a technique out of nowhere. Here's a technique in the classic NLP model process called changing personal history. Those of you inside of Hypnotic Workers have my application of how I teach that. So it's where I could, in the session, use that as a process. Though this is where I'm going to dip into the hybrid philosophy and ask myself a question. Is this going to be as effective if I do it once in real time, or could it be even more effective if I train them how to do it on their own in such a way that they can come back to it if necessary? You're going to love where I'm about to go with this. And I may make the decision the second choice is better. To which I'm then going to tell them, hey, you know what? I've got a video that actually teaches a process that's all about changing your personal history. And it is something that I used to do in the sessions with people. However, I found that it's something that a little bit of repetition makes it work even better, which is why later today I'm going to send you a quick video that guides you through the process. You can actually follow along as you go through the video. And honestly, think of the video like training wheels, that the more you interact with the video, the better it's going to teach you this method. And once you know the method, you can do it even without the video. Now, I do have a number of appointments scheduled out the rest of the day, so it'll probably be around 4 or 5 o'clock that you'll get that email with the video. Sound good? And whenever I've delivered it that way, I always get this smile and a nod, because of course it does. Hey, we can do it once, and that's helpful, though to have the skill and ability to learn how to do it on your own makes it even better. Did you maybe pick up the nuance hidden inside of that? I'm going to send you the video later today. Why? You might not have the video. I mean, I do. I have mine. And this is where, later that day, you turn on the camera or you just record an audio, kind of like what I am doing right now here with the podcast, and you produce that piece of content and you produce it in a way that now you have a resource for everybody. There's a small side path I have to take here and tell a funny story. It's a bunch of years ago, and someone calls me up and she says, I'm doing the South Beach diet. Could you hypnotize me to reinforce it? And personally, I'm a bit of a human guinea pig. I will find new things and play the game over the years as to, oh, here's intermittent fasting. Let me do it for a year and a half and see what happens. Here's the bulletproof diet where people are drinking coffee with 400 calories of just added fat. Yummy. Here's ketogenic diet. Here's a less is more style of strength training. Here's endurance running. And over the years, just as a human experiment, I've done a bit of everything just to see, who was it? Charles Poliquin was a man in the fitness world who actually said a quote that was my intention behind this. You owe it to yourself to not take any fitness or nutrition advice at face value. All of our bodies are different. All of our sort of biological backgrounds have different origins, and even different cultures respond to different foods. And some cultures have a tendency towards this issue versus that issue. So test it out, see what happens. And so I've done this over the years. I've never done South Beach diet. So she calls up, I'm doing the South Beach diet. Can you help me reinforce it? I say, well, just to be honest with you, I'm aware of what it is, and respectfully, the South Beach diet basically is the last few chapters of the Atkins Diet Revolution book. People have the stereotype that the Atkins diet is never eat carbs again. And no, that was the fat reduction strategy. And then came the reintroduction of the appropriate carbs. And basically, South Beach diet just starts there. Still a good program. So I tell you what, though, could you give me the bullet points? Map out exactly what this program is and then bring that into our first appointment. She goes, oh, no problem. So here's the scenario. She's calling on Thursday and she's now going to come in on Tuesday. The next day, the phone rings several more times. I'm doing the South Beach diet. Can you reinforce it? To which I then found out, I think it was Dr. Oz said something on TV about the research around hypnosis increasing compliance and referenced South Beach, and people got the idea and they called me. Well, the second person who called, we had the conversation, and do not lie to people, otherwise your pants will be on fire. Instead, though, she calls up, I'm doing the South Beach diet, can you reinforce it? And I respond, oh yeah, we get calls for that frequently. Now, in the conversation, this client is coming in next week, Thursday. So I didn't have to ask this one to bring in the bullet points. Why? Because the other one's coming in Tuesday and she's going to give it to me. And as 3 more calls came in, now I know how to work with people with the South Beach diet and reinforce what they already want to do. Do you see the intention here? I tell that story because even though it's not entirely an illustration of hybrid model, it's where over time we can start to build some assets that now supplement our process and ask the question, how do I do this once and let the full intention be providing a better experience for people and not just minimizing our efforts. Again, I haven't done a pre-talk in person in quite some time. And most of, even for those of you inside of Hypnotic Business Systems, many of you have Velvet Rope Strategy because we spun that off as its own separate thing. Yet inside of Hypnotic Business Systems is the step-by-step of the VIP paid strategy session where my clients now pay a deposit to get on a call with me. And then now I'm basically selling my services to somebody who's already paid me. And because of that, I haven't had to sell my services in years. The video automation takes care of it for me. And again, this can be modified for all different types of things. Yet the key I wanted to share with you is ask yourself, what are the methods that may become more effective by giving to them to my clients as resources as opposed to everything being in real time? Let's talk about hypnosis training too, because no, simply being in the room for all of it is not magic. Yes, it's magic to be in the room with you, and I look forward to hanging out soon. It's instead, though, that, let's be honest here, here's some content inside of a hypnosis training event that doesn't need to happen in real time. May even be better when you can interact with it on your own time. So I kind of kick off my classes, buckle up, this is going to get exciting, with vocabulary. Whoa, said nobody ever. However, It's where in this quick vocabulary module, it puts everybody on the same level playing field. And now we have a common shared language, and it allows me to teach other concepts faster. No, sitting in the room and going through a vocabulary list is not more magic because it happens in real time. I would argue, and I would have the data now to say, because you get to interact with that on your own time, it makes it so as we do the training event, it's not that people ask stupid questions, it's that they don't yet know what they don't yet know. And think about any hypnosis training event you've been to, where now what happens is because of the situation that now everyone has a common shared language, and maybe they've even seen an entire full session done from start to finish, the result now becomes there's a base of knowledge, and it allows us to teach even faster. So I share this anecdote not to pat myself on the back and say, look how awesome I am, though I have someone who attended a training with me live in person over the course of 10 days, and then recently did it with us online, where it's a video library supplemented by 8 weeks of real-time instruction with online practice. And she says, how did you do that? It's like, what do you mean? She goes, you taught this class better in just 24 hours time online, spread out over a few weeks, mind you. And we weren't all together. It's like, well, because I can recognize now what content can deliver better in your own timing. And again, watching a demo doesn't necessarily have to be in the same room. The interaction, the practice, that's something we still keep on board, which is why, simply put, we won't certify someone in hypnosis unless we actually have seen them in action. This is why it's an online class with real-time interaction. Yet, for most of you, the application you can put into use right away is that silly little formula I shared. Promise somebody something, go off and then create it, and now this is how you start to build that sort of data library of content to better help your clients. Ask a better question, you get a better response. So over the next few days and weeks, as you're working with your clients, whenever you're about to teach something, ask yourself the question, is this something that's going to benefit them even further in something in their own time? And you've got options, of course. This is not never, ever, ever absolute, which that is an absolute statement. Instead, what it means is you may teach it to them once. You may then go off and produce a recording, and now you have it for everyone else. So change the question, get a better response. Can we now abolish the conversation? Online's not as good. Recordings are not as good. Video instruction's not as good. And instead ask yourself, how can I make it even better? Jason Linett here once again, and as always, thank you so much for interacting with this program, for sharing this conversation in your social media streams, and as well as leaving your all the stars reviews along the way. Some platforms are not 5 stars anymore, they're 4 or 10, so now we have to say all the stars. I encourage you to check out WorkSmartHypnosisLive.com. We've got the training coming up very soon. I actually co-host this now along with Richard Nongard, so you get my phenomenon-based approach to hypnosis as well as his research and evidence-based approach to hypnosis. And the cool thing is, it's not just new people signing up for the event. We have people who are already well-trained professionals, people who are already seeing clients full-time as a full-time career, yet are perhaps noticing that there's some gaps in their knowledge. They're not getting the consistent results that they would like, or perhaps they've been stuck inside of rigid protocols or scripted techniques. We help you solve that problem. We help you to clear that issue away, which creates a really fun dynamic where half of the group are brand new to hypnosis, the other half are looking to sharpen their skills and, quite honestly, clear away the stuff that respectfully was designed to impress other hypnotists, as opposed to the work that's actually being done in professional hypnotic services. So check it out, WorkSmartHypnosisLive.com. We'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Work Smart Hypnosis podcast at WorkSmartHypnosis.com.
Hey, it's Jason here, and I want you to be the first to find out as we upload new content here online. So do this right now. Click subscribe right next to this video, and you will be the first to find out as I share further resources, further downloads, and other really cool things to come your way. See you soon.